Okay, what is going on? Alright, gonna do a sound check really quick. Make sure that my mic is good. I think it is good. Alright, let me get my... Make sure my thing is working. Yep, that is good. Cool, I'm actually early this time. Well, early, I'm actually on time, but compared to usual, that is early. I know I've been late these last two sessions, so apologies. There you go. Oops, that's way too bright. Well, everyone, hope everyone's having a good day. I'm having a pretty good day myself. I went to the allergy doctor today, so I got, I don't know if you can see on my forearms. You probably can't see it now, but it's like some red marks. Actually, I don't know if you can see it, but I got a bunch of allergy like pricks on my arm to try to see what I'm allergic to, and it turns out I'm allergic to everything. So that was fun. Let me go ahead and get my slides ready. But yeah, I can't believe we've made it this far. This is it was just a few. It feels like it was just like last week that it was October and we were just kicking off this boot camp. Now we're on session 16 and we're rounding off the year with NextJS. So it's pretty crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to my screens, or my singular screen. All right. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll give like another minute, wait for people to trickle in. Hey Chris, how's it going? Hope you're doing well, man. I'm gonna be back in town for the break, actually, so I'll hit you up right after this, because yeah, I want to see you. Thank you, man. Feel free to hang around if you want to learn NextJS with us. All right, let's go ahead and we could probably kick it off now. Looks like some more people are coming in. Okay. Let me make sure everything is set up well. Okay, cool. All right, welcome everyone to the last session of the year. Yeah, it's already session 16. That is nuts. And just 16 short sessions. We've gone from doing the very basics of web development with just HTML and CSS, and now we're all the way almost to the end game. We're already at NextJS, which is a full stack framework. So full stack, just as a quick reminder, full stack means that we're doing the front end and the back end together. So just think about how far we've gone since the beginning, right? Just building simple HTML, CSS websites. Now we're kind of all the way, almost all the way through. We just have a couple more units to go through, and then yeah, that's almost the end of the boot camp. So just wanted to do a huge thank you and shout out to everyone that's been following along, and everyone that joined on later in the boot camp for being here, for following along on YouTube as well. I know not everyone here is watching the live sessions. Shout out to all the people that are watching on YouTube. So yeah, just wanted to give that gratitude, because yeah, I still can't believe we came this far. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off. So yeah, today is focused on NextJS. Our agenda today is pretty straightforward. We're just going to be talking about, what is NextJS, just kind of doing the dive there. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of using NextJS. We're going to talk a little bit about how NextJS does routing, and then we're going to talk about something a little new. So we're going to talk about API routes in NextJS. And then we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about our first AI API. We're going to talk about GPT-3 and what that is. And to kind of tie everything together, we're going to be building our first full stack AI app. And yeah, that's going to be kind of an endpoint for the year. It's going to tie together almost everything we've learned from the beginning. So HTML, CSS, Tailwind, JavaScript, React, now Next.js, and it's all coming together. APIs as well. And yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty fun exercise for you guys to see. This is going to be the very first full stack app you guys build, and the first AI app you guys build as well. So it's going to be introducing a lot of new things, but hopefully the overall feeling is more of excitement than being overwhelmed. So we're going to do our best to follow along those lines. All right, so let's just dive into it. So let's talk about what is Next.js. A lot of people here probably have heard me ramble about Next.js before, but just to make sure everyone's on the same page. Next.js is an opinionated full stack React framework that's optimized for production. So just as a quick reminder, production means that you're building an app or a website for real world use, right? Like if you're building something for like Netflix or Spotify or any of one of those big companies, right? Everything has to be production grade. This is as opposed to being just being for on development, right? When you're running a site on localhost, that's not in production, right? That's in development. So Next.js is designed for sites that are basically not just toy projects, right? I mean, you can use it to build toy projects really well, but it's a framework that you can use for building a toy project all the way to building a massive company with the Next.js code base. So it's really great. It's made by Vercel. So Vercel, if you guys don't remember, Vercel was the deployment provider that I recommend for y'all. And we talked about, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe last week. And yeah, so the same company that makes Vercel, the deployment platform, also makes Next.js, the framework. So shout out Vercel. And what makes Next.js so different from just regular React is that what it technically does is it renders your React code on the server rather than the client. So just to give you an idea of, with React, right? When you guys create a create React app with script, when someone visits your site, basically once they visit your site, the HTML has to load up all the React code, bundle it, and then display it, right? So that's regular React. But with Next.js actually builds the React code on the server first and then sends it all pre-built to the HTML. So the difference here is that it's actually way faster for the end user. So whoever is visiting your website, there's going to be a performance difference, a performance improvement if you're using Next.js than React. So Next.js is basically just like it's faster, right? It's more performant, or can be more performant for users than React. So that's one advantage of using server rendered React. The second advantage is maybe not something that's super important to y'all now, but will be if you guys ever decide to build your own company or just work at a startup. The other advantage of server rendered React is that it's actually better for SEO, and SEO stands for search engine optimization. This is basically a fancy term for how well your website ranks on like Google, Bing, stuff like that. Right. When you're creating a website and you want it to go big, generally you want good SEO, right? When someone searches, let's say you're building a site for lawyers, legal services for lawyers, for example. If someone Googles like legal services for lawyers, if you're a big company, you want your site to show up in the beginning, right? And basically when you have your React code rendered from the server, it makes the crawler. So basically Google has a crawler that crawls every site. That's how it decides what to rank. It makes it easier for the crawler to find the content in your site. Therefore, you get reward. Your site gets better ranking as a result. So basically, if you want your site to rank on Google really well, it's going to be a lot easier to do that when you're using something like Next.js that's already kind of optimized for SEO. So once again, not the big advantage here, but for anybody here that's planning to start their own startup or join a startup, this is a more important advantage. But really, the big advantage is that it's faster for the end user. So that's why we would want to render React on the server rather than client. So Next.js also comes with its own router. It's file system based router. and its own API route system. So we'll talk about what those are in a second, because I know those might be new concepts. So here I drew a beautiful diagram of what Next.js looks like in my view. So this is where we were last week, right, or 2 weeks ago, talking about React, right? We were only on the front end. We were only on the client side of things. So that's React, right? And then we haven't gotten there yet, but on the back end, you can run JavaScript with Node.js, right? Node.js is a back-end JavaScript framework, so you have that on the back end. And where Next.js fits is in the middle. Like Next.js is directly in between the front end and the back end. It covers both. Even though it's technically a server-side framework, I consider it more of like a full stack thing, right? It sits in between the front end and the back end, and allows you to kind of have both in one code base, which is really clean. Okay, so let's talk about some pros and cons. So the pros of React is that it is heavily opinionated, right? You guys have kind of heard me do the spiel on opinionation before, but basically it's good here that we're using something that's more opinionated, because when you have frameworks that are not very opinionated, it's very easy to do bad practices, right? To do the not optimal thing, especially when you're a beginner, right? When you haven't worked in a production setting or like a real company, it's very easy to like develop bad habits. So that's why having an opinionated way of doing things can be really helpful. And I really like the way Next.js does it. I see we have some spam in the chat. Ignore that. I don't think they're here to learn Next.js. So the second pro of Next.js is that it's extremely performant as well. I think we talked about how it's better for the end user. That this comes a little bit with the fact that it's server-side rendered, and yeah, it just means that your app is going to be faster. So that's not always nice. Another advantage is that the developer experience is really great. In web development, at least, we shortened developer experience as DX. So this just means that if you're a coder, thanks, Jackie. This just means that if you're a coder, your levels of frustration are going to be usually a lot less working with Next.js, because they have they have designed the whole experience so well for the developer, right? They have great documentation. They have a great developer relations team. So if you ever need help, you can literally just like tweet them, and Lee Robinson or like any of the amazing people at Vercel will get back to you. And yeah, it's just like, it's clear that it was made by really good developers and that they care about not wanting to rip your hair out when you're building apps. So it's just a joy to use, just compared to other frameworks I've experienced in the past. Another pro of using Next.js is that you can have your client, so your front end, and your server, so your back end, in a single, easy to navigate code base. Back in the day, if you wanted to make like a full stack app, typically you would have your React code base in one, like the front end, and you'd have your Node.js code base as separate. And you would just have to that was how web developers were used to building apps. But with Next.js, you have it all in one folder, all in one code base. It's just really easy to navigate. Another pro is that it works extremely well with serverless deployment options. So serverless deployment platforms, some examples being Vercel, right? Vercel is the serverless deployment platform. Netlify is another one. And Next.js is literally made to be used with these platforms. So they just go hand in hand. And we haven't gotten to TypeScript yet, but when we do, you'll see that Next.js plays really, really well with TypeScript. And that is good for us, because we will be... I want you guys to start writing everything in TypeScript once we get there. We haven't gotten there yet. So having a framework that plays so nicely with it is definitely a plus as well. And for cons, clearly I'm biased because the pros list is greater than cons, but I've identified kind of two major cons I see with Next.js. One is that it's pretty new. It's not, I want to say Next.js is like about 3-4 years old. That might be off for like a year or two, but something like that is how long it's been around. So not a super long amount of time. And it changes a lot. I mean, recently Next.js released Next.js 13, so the newest version of Next.js. And let's just say I haven't migrated over to Next.js 13 just because there's a lot of changes. So it's definitely kind of annoying when you're a developer, when you're used to doing something one way, and then the makers of the framework are like, wait, actually, we changed our minds. We are going to do it this way now. It's kind of a pain to like adjust to that. So that is one con as well. But overall, I am very happy with Next.js. I don't see myself switching off for quite some time, and yeah, now I'm trying to sell Next.js to all of you. So there we go. Okay, let's talk about routing a little bit, because earlier we talked about how Next.js had its own file-based router, or file system-based router. And what that looks like is like this. So when we create our Next.js app, which will be in a few minutes, you'll see a folder structure that kind of looks like this. And what I want you guys to zero in on is this pages folder. So all Next.js apps will come with this pages folder. And the purpose of the pages folder is that every folder and file you put in pages will be a new route. So here's what I mean. So in pages, this might be kind of hard to see here, but in pages, at the root of pages, there's this file called index.js. And index.js, because it's called index.js and it's in the root of the, it's in the root of the pages folder, this means this component, this React component, is what's going to show up when the user visits, let's say the site is at example.com. When the user just visits example.com, just a slash, so just the homepage, it's going to show the index.js in pages. If we create a folder in pages called cars, and then we put an index.js in cars, when the user visits example.com/cars, it's going to show this page, right, the index.js. And what you can also do is, let's say you have, you maybe have like a database of cars, and when I go to like example.com/cars/13, I want to show the information of car with ID 13. Well, you could do syntax like this, which basically is, it does query parameters. So when you do like square brackets ID.js, when a user visits example.com/cars, right, because we're in the cars folder, slash some kind of ID, this file will know that whatever they put after the cars slash will be the ID of the page, right? So it's pretty nifty, and you can see how this system is kind of powerful because you don't have to set up any routing. I know we didn't talk about React Router, but basically if you guys ever checked out React Router, you'll see the React Router does something very similar, but it's way more annoying. You have to set up the routes yourself. Like every time you create a file, you have to also say that this file is at this URL. But with Next.js, their philosophy is just, hey, why do you got to do that? Just create the file or create the folder, and that's what it's going to be called, right, as a route. So it makes it a lot easier as a developer because you don't have to do something twice. Okay, so now let's move on to the second part of what Next.js makes Next.js so special, and it's the fact that it comes with API routes. So this is the first slide where you guys are being introduced to the backend, right? Everything that we talked about before was really just concentrated on the front end portion, but now we're talking about setting up a backend, right? And a backend is basically just a server, and the server has these endpoints, which we call API routes, right? So here in this screenshot on the left, we show what it looks like. Oh, I know it's the examples in TypeScript, just pretend it's in JavaScript. Well, the code isn't important, but basically the code that goes inside this hello.ts file. See, I don't know if you guys can see this, but we have a res.status.json with an object hello, or the key hello, and then the value it's me. And what this file does is it sets up an API route. So you can see that, it's kind of hard to see, but I don't know if I can zoom in. But here inside the pages folder, we have an API folder. And everything you put in the API folder is going to be its own route. So this means when a user or your app makes a request to localhost 3000/API/hello, right? Because this file is called hello. That's why like we are calling to the endpoint hello. You can see that it sends back this data, right? So this is a very like simple version of an API endpoint. But what I want to just like demonstrate here is that or basically what I want to say here is that Next.js makes it super easy to create API routes, right? It's the same philosophy of creating new pages. All you need to do is create a new file in the API folder, and that new file is going to be an API endpoint. This isn't going to seem like it's going to be like, why is this better than the other way? That's not going to like be apparent until we get to the Node.js and Express part of this course, where you guys will see that it usually is not this easy to create new API endpoints. It's just that since Next.js uses this like file system based like routing, we can just create new files with the endpoint rather than creating the code and then wiring it all together. So we're going to be diving into this a lot more. This example doesn't do the full thing justice, since we really haven't like talked about backend much. But I think once we go through our demo, like this API routing stuff will make a lot more sense. Or I hope it'll make a lot more sense. Okay. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about something not Next.js related. Let's talk about GPT-3. So GPT-3, it's a large language model made by OpenAI. I'm sure many people in the chat have heard about ChatGPT or GPT-3 or DALL-E or a lot of the trending AI technologies. GPT-3 is one of the ones that kicked off this hype cycle. Maybe like a year ago, actually more than a year ago. It's been like almost 2 years now since it's been released. And ChatGPT is just like a level up on top of GPT-3. But really it all started with GPT-3. So if you do want to follow along with this example, I encourage you to sign up for a free account at beta.openai.com. And that will give you an OpenAI account, and then you can get access to the GPT-3 API. And the account is free, but the API is technically paid. But your new OpenAI account, it should come with like, I don't remember the exact amount, like $10 to $30 of free credit. So you don't have to put in a credit card right now. But if you do ever build like a real company on top of GPT-3, then yeah, you're gonna have to pay. But for the purpose of today's demo, like you shouldn't have to pay at all. So GPT-3 can do many things, but we're gonna be using its ability to complete text. So this means we can make apps like a movie recommender, a poem generator, an essay assistant, etc. Like there's many things we can do here. And just to show you what I mean, let's go ahead and dive into the OpenAI Playground. I know, same name as my company, but you know, what can you do? Let me go ahead and log into my OpenAI account. Okay, I'm logged in. And so if you click on Playground here on the, oops, let me make this a little bigger. So if you click on Playground here on the top nav bar of OpenAI, you see a screen that looks like this. And this is really what you're going to be using to actually talk to the AI. So, you know, this session is not focused on all the crazy things you can do with GPT-3, but I just want to show you guys some basic examples. So actually, they have this nice examples tab that's filled with examples of like mini apps you can do. So for example, let's take a look at this summarize for a second grader. So as you can see, all you need to tell the AI is some kind of instructions, right? You can basically just say, hey, summarize this for a second grade student. And then they paste it in this paragraph. And if you click submit, it'll give you what the AI responds with, basically. So let's click submit. Okay, so we get back this response. So this response is what the AI has said after following these instructions, right? So it's pretty flexible, right? This is just a summarization example, but as you can see from this list of examples, there are so many. You can do translate programming languages, so you can translate from like JavaScript to Python. You can do like keyword extraction. You can do like tweet classification. You can write essays. You can write horror stories. There's so many things you can do, right? These are all like potential like business scenarios you guys can pursue on your own time. But for today, you know, we're not going to do anything crazy. We're just going to create something super simple. Let's just maybe do like a poem generator or like a limerick. I don't know what kind of what kind of fun app we could make. I think a poem generator could be pretty interesting. So maybe our app is like, it's very simple. We just take in a subject matter of whatever the user wants to write a poem about. We send that subject matter to GPT-3, and then we spit out a poem. So how would we tell GPT-3 to make this app for us? Well, first we got to maybe pretend there's many ways to teach GPT-3 stuff, but one way is to like pretend that, or like tell GPT-3 to pretend that it's a poet. So maybe it could be like, you are a famous poet. You are a famous poet. Given a subject matter, write a beautiful, maybe like a 3-stanza poem. Excuse me, maybe like 4-stanza. Okay, something like that, right? And then, so given a subject matter, so maybe we could do like subject, and then this is where we're gonna put the user's input. So let's say our user enters, Siamese cats. Subject, Siamese cats, and then maybe to get the AI to respond, we could just say poem, colon, and then click submit. So everything that comes out past here is going to be the AI's response. So let's see what it says. Beauty and grace, so gentle and wise, the Siamese cat captivates with his eyes. Mystical and playful, a charmer of sorts. It's a delight for us humans of all sorts. It's not that great because they're using the word sorts, but whatever. With the sleek coat in front of the night, the Siamese brings a touch of delight. Graceful and light with a charming meow, it's a sight that we never want to let go. Okay, this does not rhyme. Meow and go does not rhyme. Okay, maybe we should change the instructions and tell GPT-3 to write a poem that rhymes. How about write a beautiful 2-stanza poem that rhymes? Maybe that. Okay, so now we can delete all of this and basically reset it and try again. So let's click submit. Okay, that's a little better. It rhymes more now. These cats with coats of 2 distinct hues, their grace and beauty will never lose. Their fur of white and their eyes of blue, a sight that's simply delightful to view. Okay, you guys get the idea, right? Today, this is a web building course. Like, there's so much more we can talk about with how to trick GPT-3 into doing cool things, but this will suffice for our basic demo, right? So basically, this response, the stuff that's in green here, this is what we're going to show to our users in our app. So let's go into Excalidraw, my trusty whiteboarding tool. Let's create a new drawing here, and let's draw up what our app is going to look like. So let's say our app is going to have a basic input field. So this is going to be where the user types the subject matter. So let's pretend the user types Siamese cats, and then let's have a button. A button that submits. Kind of big, but whatever. Make this a little smaller. Okay, so the user types Siamese cats. They click submit, and basically their poem just shows up here. So we just copy and paste. Oops. Copy and paste this stuff. Paste it here. And I'll move this. Something like this, right? A poem generator. So this is what our app's going to look like, right? They just type in a subject matter, click submit, and then we send back the response from GPT-3. And this is going to be a full stack app, right, guys? We're not just going to be doing the front end, we're also going to be building the back end as well. And the reason why we need a back end here is because I don't believe the OpenAI API lets you make requests from only the server or only the client. I don't know if you guys remember, but a long time ago, I talked about how some APIs, actually most APIs, only let you make requests from a server. If you call the API from your browser, so from the client, it will just reject it because of security reasons. And I think OpenAI is one of those. So that's why we have to create a server, and that's what we're doing with NextJS, first to be able to make the request to OpenAI. Okay, so that's a lot of talking and not a lot of doing. So I'd like to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to actually build this app, right? So this is what our app is going to look like. And we need to have it so that, but when the user types in something, click submit, we need to take this user input, send it to our backend, send it to OpenAI, get back this response, and display the response. So hopefully this goes well. I haven't tried this yet on my own, but in theory, that is how it should work. All right, so I'm gonna go back to my slides. So now we're going to go to our demo, and that's how we're going to spend the rest of class building this app. And I'm going to, once again, I'm going to go a little fast. And since today is like, you know, we have a long break, if you guys do want to build this on your own, go ahead and just review the recording. There might not be enough time to kind of like really slow it down for everyone here. But yeah, since we have a long break, hopefully that should be okay. So let's go ahead and create a new app for this. Let me see. Maybe I can create I'm going to create it on a GitHub project first. And then clone it. So I'm going to start from GitHub. I'm going to create a new file or new repository. Let's call this GPT-3 poem. Poem generator app using GPT-3 for the Twitch Bootcamp. Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. I'm just going to add a README. Why not? Create repository. Okay. Cool. So we got our repository. I'm going to go ahead and click code. I'm going to copy this. And this will let us clone the repository to our computer. So copy this URL. Once you have yours, I'm going to open up my terminal. Okay, and I'm going to cd into my projects folder. So I'm going to cd projects, and then Bootcamp projects. And then to clone this folder, I'm just going to do git clone. Let me make this a little bigger for y'all. Git clone like this, space, and then I'm going to paste my URL. I think this should work. I might have to change some things. I might need a developer token to make this push well, but hopefully this ends up working. Hey, how's it going? Oh, wait, I just realized I've never changed the title of my Twitch stream, so it looks like we're still teaching React. Let me update that really quick. Sorry. I know, I forget every time. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna change it. Session 16, NextJS. Intro. All right, there we go. Just fixed it. Okay. All right, we're back. So I just cloned the project into our my projects folder. So now I'm going to open it up in our code editor. Let's go ahead and open up our code editor. I'm going to go ahead and open this new folder we created. Whoops. Projects, Bootcamp projects, GPT-3 poem. Yes. All right. Cool. I'm going to close my old terminal now. Yes, I trust the authors. All right. So now we have a blank folder, and I'm going to open up the terminal in VS Code just to keep it all in one place. See, it's right here. Hope you guys see it. And now we're going to create a new Next.js app. So to create a Next.js app, you know, we use create React app for React. So we're going to use create Next app for Next. So I'm just going to Google create Next app. And as you can see, we can just run any of these three commands. Yarn and npm are basically different alternatives to using npm. We're not going to talk about like why you should use one or the other. They're all fairly similar, to be honest. It's just, once again, the name of the game is consistency. You just got to pick one and stick with it. Because if you mix and match them, that's when the problems come up. I personally like npm. It's pretty new and it's pretty fast. But just because I know we all have npm and we haven't installed yarn or pnpm yet, I'm just going to go with the npm npx version. So go ahead and copy this. And this will let you create a new project interactively. So I'm going to copy this command. I'm going to paste it in my my repositories folder. And what I want to do is I don't want to create a brand new folder, right? I actually want to create the next app in this existing repository. So we'll have to do that. So click enter, and it's going to walk you through a series of steps. Well, first you have to say yes, that we do want to install that. Okay, what is your project name? So, well, we already have a name for our project, so I'm just going to say, I wonder if I can just do dot to create the current file. I don't know if that's going to work. Let's try that. Dot. Would you like to use TypeScript? No, not today. We're going to come back and do TypeScript eventually, but we're not doing TypeScript yet. Would you like to use ESLint? Yes, we do like ESLint, so I say yes. The directory GPT-3 poem contains files that could conflict. Either use a new directory name or remove the files. Okay, so it doesn't like that we have the README. Never mind. I'm just going to go ahead and delete the README and try those steps again. So I deleted the README. I'm going to go through this same flow again. Hello. What's going on? It's not working, so I'm going to cancel it and start over. Okay, there we go. I'm going to say dot because I want to create a current folder. No TypeScript. Yes, ESLint. There we go. All right. So now it's going to install everything and set up our brand new NextJS project. All right, let's give it a second. I think my internet might be a little slow. Is that why it's slow? Hello? Interesting. It usually does not take this long. Something must be wrong. Alright, you know what? I'm going to try it again. I'm just going to cancel out of here. I'm going to delete all the files that they created, and I'm going to start over. Maybe my internet's kind of weird here. Sorry, y'all. Alright, let's try this one more time. Third time's the charm. So, dot, no TypeScript, yes, ESLint. Huh. Uh-oh. Well, this is going to make the demo difficult if I can't even get NextJS up and running. I wonder why it's taking so long. Maybe I wonder if there's a problem with NPM registry or something. Is anybody else having problems setting up NextJS? Let me... Okay, just to have a backup plan, I'm going to try to create another NextJS app somewhere else. And if that one works, then we'll just switch over to that one instead. We'll just call this GPT-3 Poem 2 or something. So we do npm create next app, latest, enter. What is your project called? The GPT-3 Poem 2. Would you like to use TypeScript? No. Would you like to use ESLint? Yes. Huh. Interesting. So they seem to be hanging on the same step. We're having some problems here getting NextJS set up. I don't know if it's like... Huh. It's super weird. Yeah, it's just hanging for me. I'm curious to see if anybody in the chat, if you guys are also doing the same project, if you guys are also having trouble with NextJS, or if it's just my internet. Does create React app work? I'd be really surprised if create React app worked and create NextJS did not work. All right, I'm gonna cancel this. Create React app. Testing. I think there's something wrong with npm or like npmx. Let's look at npm status. I mean, it's all the same. It's not gonna make a difference, I don't think. What's today? Today's the 20th. So there was an incident today. Oof. Great timing. It looks like it's supposed to be resolved, but it doesn't look like it's fixed yet. Okay. I guess we could maybe try it with Yarn. I don't think this is going to make a difference because ultimately Yarn, PNPM, and npx, they all are talking to the npm package registry. Like, this is the site that has all the packages, and it's reporting some issues. So, might have to cancel this. I'm going to remove our package.json. I'm going to try the same script for the fourth time, but this time I'm going to use a Yarn. You guys might have to install yarn first. Oh yeah, it says I don't have yarn installed, so I'm going to use npm i-g yarn. That's going to let me install yarn. Yeah, it's okay. No, that works. Okay, that's weird. So I can install that package, but I am not able to create the new NextJS app. Let's try the yarn command. Cannot find a package.json file. Okay, something is weird here. Yeah, this is still not working. Let me just remove that file, that folder I created. Yarn create next app. Oh, whoops, that's why it's not working. It's a different command. So let me try it. Yarn create next app. Okay. What is your project called? Dot. Would you like to use TypeScript? No. Would you like to use ESLint? Yes. Darn. Yeah, I don't think it's my internet because clearly I have connection. Like if I didn't have connection, I wouldn't be streaming. But well, it says there appears to be a problem with your internet connection. Am I lagging or something? Yeah, it looks like it's not working, y'all. It looks like we're not even able to get our... Whoa. Actually, I said that too soon. Maybe it's just really slow. Okay, anywho, I'm going to check out the chat. So we say, what's up, Zach? Do you know anything about 100 devs? Yeah, actually, I just found out about 100 devs like last week. And yeah, I think it's really cool. I started my Twitch bootcamp before I heard about 100 devs. And I know they're further along. I think they actually finished the whole thing. And yeah, I haven't hit up the person who run 100 devs yet, but it's really cool. Yeah, definitely. I don't know if they were inspired by the same person, but I was inspired to do the Switch Bootcamp by this guy, Mastermind.io, I think. Yeah, this guy, Mastermind.io. This guy was the first guy I've seen do a free bootcamp on Twitch. So I watched his, and his was really great. That inspired me to try again because I know I think he actually stopped his like a year or two ago. And yeah, I'm interested in 100 devs. Also was inspired by this guy as well. But yeah, but Mastermind.io, 100 devs, like they're all really great. I really like how 100 devs like structured his course. So yeah, definitely check it out. All right, so it looks like the packages are slowly working. I don't know what was going on, guys. I'm gonna blame the weird. There's something weird going on at npm, so I'm gonna blame that as the issue, but don't really know if that is what's causing it. Okay, so we ran into some delays, but we are good now. We have our NextJS app set up. Sorry everyone for the trouble. Hopefully, when you guys are following along on your own, you guys aren't running into similar problems. But now we have everything set up. So, as always, when we are checking out a new framework, I like to do a quick tour around what we have here. Overall, the structure of Create Next App, like what comes out from Create Next App, is going to be a lot simpler than what comes out from Create React App, so that's good. And so someone asked in the chat, is this Next.js 13? We can check, actually. We can go into package.json and check out the next version. This is using Next.js 13. But that being said, I know that Next.js 13, they want everyone to use the app folder instead of the pages folder. So we're still going to use the pages folder, just as a heads up to everyone. So we are using Next 13, so we're always going to use the latest version of Next, but we're not using the special app folder that they've talked about in their docs. We're still going to use the pages folder. So that's just a notice to everyone. Okay. So open up the pages folder and you should see like 3 files in the pages folder and then another folder called API. So let's first talk about these 3 files and what they do. So index.js, right? We kind of talked a little bit about this in the slides, but index.js inside pages is basically the home page, right? So when we spin up our server at localhost 3000 and you visit localhost 3000, this component is what's going to be shown, right? Because this is at the index, this is at the home page. these two files, notice that they have an underscore in front of them, right? The underscore implies that these are special files, right? Underscore app.js and underscore document.js are specifically named to be recognized by NextJS. So let's talk about document first. So the document.js or underscore.document in pages is basically a special file that wraps your whole HTML. So as you can see here, what we have is just like the HTML structure, the head of the document, the body, and all this other stuff. Honestly, most projects, you don't have to worry about this because the document, like this is where you'll put like, I don't know, if you happen to load styles inline or like in the HTML, you could do that here. Maybe loading analytics scripts could be a use of this as well. Honestly, there's not, like document.js, I don't really use all too much unless it's like a real production app and I need to add like, I don't know, the HTML language and all that. So I wouldn't really worry about this file too much. It doesn't really do too much for our purposes, but basically document.js envelops your whole application is what I want you guys to get out of it. And then we have the underscore app.js. So app.js is a special file that wraps around every file in pages besides this underscore document. So basically, if we wanted to put some styles on every single file in our pages folder, and we didn't want to create a component and like load it manually, we can put that code in app.js, right? So as a fake example, let's pretend we have a header, like a navigation bar component, and we wanted to show up on every page. We can just put like a header component here, something like this, right? And this will be like, okay, so all of our pages will have this header on top. Just an example, right? We don't really have a header here, but if we did, we could do that in the app.js file. So this is basically a wrapper for the whole application. Okay, let's go ahead and so question said, so app.js is some global wrapper for every component. Yeah, kind of. It's specifically a global wrapper for every file that's in pages. That's not in the API folder. So it doesn't wrap around anything in the API folder, which we'll talk about in a second. And it doesn't wrap around itself or the underscore document. So any kind of file that we create in pages is going to wrap around. So we can show you what that looks like in a second. Okay, what else to show here? Let's go ahead and just spin up the app. So if you look at the package.json, you can see that they have a dev script instead of the, well, they also have the start script, but typically they want you to use the dev script when you're building for development. So we're going to run npm run dev. Well, technically we're using Yarn. I had to switch, I used Yarn and somehow that, I guess I timed it well so that the connectivity problems were bypassed. So you can use npm or Yarn here. I'm just going to use Yarn since I'm already in the Yarn ecosystem, right? It's all about consistency. So I'm going to use Yarn dev. For you guys, you can just run npm run dev if you're using npm. But since I'm using Yarn, just Yarn dev, click enter. Okay, now we see started server on localhost 3000. And now we're going to go ahead and go to localhost 3000 in our browser. Cool. Oh, wow, they changed it. It looks pretty good now. So this is what our site looks like. Pretty fancy. Yeah, and it tells you, yeah, get started by editing pages.index.js. And yeah, so it's very similar to create React app and like the create Svelte app in that we have hot reload, right? Anytime we make a change here, so let's say I want to like, I don't know, delete some of this text. So I delete some of this text, save this. You can see that changes are reflected instantly, so that's really nice. What else to demo here? So what I mean by that, let's talk about the routing really quick. So if I wanted an about page, right? A lot of websites have an about page. And I wanted to set that up. All I need to do is create a new file in pages. So new file, and I just call it about.js. And then I can create a component. So I can just say export default function about page. Remember, components in React should always be capital or Pascal cased, capital cased. And then we can return, and then we can have a div. We just say maybe like a h1 that says about page. Save that. And to test it, if we just go to our browser and go to localhost 3000/about, whoa. I guess we have some other styles going on that, like they have preloaded styles for us. That's probably why this looks so weird, but you can see that we can reach our about page. So this is basically how the routing works, right? So if I can do the same thing with a folder. So let's say I create a folder of like, I don't know, posts. So I create a posts folder. If I create an index.js in posts, so index.js in posts, and I can once again export default function post page, parentheses, return div post page, save. I can access this page by going to /posts. So /posts, post page, right? I don't know what a page looks like this. There must be some, like, I guess the default styles that they come with are screwing everything up. But that's okay, because we're about to delete all the styles and put in Tailwind anyways. Cool. But yeah, just wanted to demonstrate like what that file-based routing is going to look like. We're not dealing too much with the routing today, because as you can see from our app is really just one page. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is to add new routes, right? Literally all you have to do is create new folders and new files, and yeah, your routes will reflect that. So it's pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. I'm gonna delete our about page as well. We don't need that. Oh, another thing to say is that, let's see how we have this 404 page that comes with Next.js. If you want to create your own 404, you can create your own file in pages called _404, or is it _404 or underscore error? I forgot. I think it's _404. So you can maybe say like a custom export default, custom error page, return. And maybe if you want your own 404 page, you can say like 404 page not found. Oops, I think I messed up something. Oh, I said I messed up the word function. Export default function. I was wondering why the linter was mad at me. Save that, refresh. Oh, maybe it's not 404, but maybe it's error. I think it's maybe _error.js. I might have gotten the name wrong. All right, save that. Okay, cool. So as you can see, I created a _error.js. This is basically our custom 404 page. So as you can see, whenever there's a page that doesn't exist, because we deleted the post folder, it's going to show our custom error page. So actually, it looks uglier than before, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. But just wanted to show you the third custom file here, or like the third built-in file. So just _app, _document, _error. All right, I guess I'll just leave this for now. All right, we have a styles folder here, and this is probably what contains all the styling that is causing our page to be so screwed up. So I'm going to, I guess I'll delete all of this, because we're going to replace this with Tailwind. We also have this home.module.css, which you also don't need. So let's go ahead and load Tailwind, right? Very similar to how we did that with Next.js. Or sorry, create React app. So I'm going to look up Tailwind CSS, Next.js. Okay, cool. They have a guide for us. Install Next.js, or install Tailwind with Next.js. This guide is for TypeScript, but it should be fine. Okay, so we need to install Tailwind CSS first. So I'm going to copy these commands. Since I'm using Yarn, I'm actually going to use Yarn install instead of, Yarn install instead of npm. But for y'all, you should use npm. So I'm going to shut down my server. Type in yarn, add. I'm going to paste that stuff. Whoopsies. Whoa, what's going on? Yarn add -d tailwind css post css auto prefixer. Click enter. Let that install. And then we're going to run the npx tailwind css init, which is going to create our tailwind config file. So let's let that load. Yeah, there must be something going on with npm, because this is not how slow packages take to install. Like it is. This is I've never seen it this slow. So there's definitely something going on with npm here, or my internet. All right, let's let that load. Might have to retry a few times. Fetching our packages. How much time do we have? Oh, we're running out of time. Ugh, this is tricky. The delays with installing are definitely eating into our time. Maybe we should just say no styling for now if this takes too long, and just go with what we have right now. I just really don't like all this all this other styling that they gave us. Okay, there we go. It's good now. So I installed it. I'm gonna run this npm or npx tailwind css init. So paste that. Initialize our So it's created our post CSS, created our tailwind CSS. That's good. Or tailwind config. Copy this stuff. Or copy this content section, and I'm going to drop it and replace the content section in here. So this is basically saying Tailwind's going to bundle all of the files that we have in Pages. And we don't have this file folder yet, but when we create our components folder, it's going to bundle everything in there as well. So that's good. All right, now we have to add the Tailwind directives to our CSS. So I'm going to copy this, go to Styles, Global CSS. I'm going to delete all of this stuff. I'm going to paste the Tailwind code. All right, so far so good. And I'm just gonna get rid of this home module.css as well. I'm gonna move that to trash. I'm gonna go into the index page and remove the styles as well. I'm just gonna go ahead and delete all this code also. Like I can leave the head. The head, as you can see, it like has a title and stuff, but I'm gonna basically delete everything in the main. And I'm gonna test this by putting an h1 with a class, with some Tailwind class names. So like text 3XL, font bold, underline, hello. Just to test that Tailwind works. Okay, I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna run npm run dev, and let's see if we have Tailwind working. All right, so localhost 2000, go to our home page. Okay, so we see we have our big text that's underlined. So that is a sign that it's working. Okay, cool, so we have Tailwind set up. Let's go ahead and, so remember, we want to create this layout. I'm going to go through this layout portion really quick because the like meat of today's session is really on the API request. So I'm just going to kind of speed through this portion. I'm going to basically, I should be creating these with separate components, but you know what? Time is of the essence here, so I'm going to do it all on one page. But you should probably break these into components. Okay, so let me make this smaller. Close my viewer here. I'm going to go ahead and create a, so we have our poem generator title. We have our content that's like centered in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and create, I'm going to make this text be our header text. So this is going to say poem generator. And I'm going to put let's see, what's the best way to do this? Maybe I can center text this, put this in the center, so text center, and see what that looks like. Let's keep our preview up here. Okay, it's center text, that's not bad. Let's add some padding as well, so I'm gonna maybe put a main element around everything. So paste that there. Gonna get the main a padding of like, I don't know, 8 or something, P8. So this will put padding on all sides of 2 REM. All right, poem generator. And then we're going to have our input form. So I'm actually, maybe I should just have this be full screen and stuff thing. Yeah, make this full screen, and then I'm going to horizontally and vertically align this actually. So I'm going to make this full width, so width full. I'm going to make it full height, so H screen will be the height of the screen. And then I'm going to do flex. I'm going to do justify center. And then items center. So this will align the items in the middle and horizontally center it. So cool, it's in the middle. So we have our H1, and then we're gonna put our form under it, right? In our, yeah, we have this little form that's going on. So I'm gonna put a form. We want these, in our form, we want our input and a button to be in a line, they're in a row. So I'm gonna put flex box on the form, so flex. I'm gonna say flex direction row, even though it's not really necessary because by default flex is gonna direct row, but I like to be explicit, right? And also we want a gap in between these items, so we can also just put a gap x4, which will put a gap on the x direction. So in our form, I'm gonna put an input field, and then let's see, I'm gonna add, this is just quick styling, right, guys? Like we're not too focused on that today. I'm gonna give some padding. I don't know. I'm gonna give it a what else should I do? Maybe make it like a little bigger, or maybe like text large. Maybe make it rounded, like rounded LG or something. Give it a type of text, because we do want the user to enter text. Okay, that's the input. Now we're gonna do a button. Just for style consistency, we're gonna give it the same padding that we've given the input. So padding X3, padding Y2. Let's give this semi-bold font or something, semi-bold. And let's also make this rounded large, right? We want these styles to be consistent. And we're gonna say submit. Okay, that's good for now. Let's leave that. This button is gonna have the type of submit that we're going to get to. Okay, so we have that. So that's our form. And then under our form, that's where our poem is going to be. So for now, let's just hard code our poem. Let me also add some margins on the form, because we don't want the title in the form and the text to all be like stuck together, right? Let's add some margins. So on the form, I'm going to do like MY8, put like 2 rem of spacing in between them. And this div is going to have our content. So let's just copy our little poem about Siamese cats. Let's paste that in here. Let's see, what else should we have? Maybe like text large. I don't know, there's probably more we can do. Maybe we could also like limit the width as well, because right now this is going to be arbitrary width. Maybe what we can do is just add maybe we can add a div that wraps around the form and the content that limits the width. So what we can do is put a div here. So I'm going to put the form and the content in this div. And then the class name, I can say max width of 3XL, or maybe like 2XL. We'll play around with it. And I know that once I put this, it'll basically put everything on the left. And to keep it centered, I want to have MX Auto, which will basically put auto margins on the left and right. This is basically a trick to like horizontally center something. Okay, so let's save this. Let's see how our code looks, or our app looks. Oh, I screwed up. I did not do that correctly. Oh, I know why. Because basically we did a flex, right? I added a flex here. And remember, guys, flex by default just adds everything in a row. So basically it says, hey, oh, you told me to put this H1 and everything in this div in a row. So that's why it looks like this. And that's all we want, right? We want this to be in a column, right? We want to be everything stacked up. So I'm going to actually add this flex call here. All right, that's a little better. Our app still doesn't look that great here. I probably have to center this text as well. Might have screwed that up, but that is okay. MX Auto, yep. That is good. Let me see what happens if I get rid of this. Maybe this is what's screwing it up. Nope, that didn't work. That's okay. Our look isn't perfect right now. I think the width is a little bit too big, actually. No. Maybe we can do, let's see, this is flex, right? I think we want our items in the center, so justify center. Okay, that's a little better. We need to add a border around our input, because otherwise you can't really see it. So I'm just gonna say border. It's a really thin border. Maybe you can add like border 2 to make it a little thicker. All right, that's a little better. All right, not perfect, but you guys get the idea. Let's add a border on the button as well, border 2. Let's just make the button black. So actually, BG black, text white. All right. Okay, this is our poem generator, basically, and maybe we can add a placeholder into the input saying, what do you want a poem about? Or maybe just say subject matter. It's too long of placeholder text. Okay, so this is our basic UI, right? So the idea is whatever the user types in here, they click submit or click enter. This is what we send to our backend, and our backend will then send it to OpenAI. We'll get back the response from the AI and then send it back up to the client. So that's what we're going to finish up here, and that's going to be like the end of today's session. So this is our first time, guys, that we're going into the back end and building it out ourselves. So let's do this together. So remember, guys, that Next.js gives us this API folder. Remember, in Pages, we have the API folder. We're going to create an endpoint in the API folder that is called like generate or something. Generate poem, maybe. And we're going to make a request. So when a user clicks submit, what we're going to do is we're going to make a request to generate. And then generate's going to make a request to OpenAI. So let me draw this out really quick in our Excel draw. Show you guys what this looks like. Maybe I'll use diamonds instead. So here we have a diamond. This is our app. So client. So once the, or maybe we could just use like a flow of events. So like user types in input and clicks. All right, this is not looking good. And clicks submit. So that's our first event. And then we draw an arrow. And what we're going to do is we're going to make an API request, or like client makes API request to /API /generate -poem or something. So that's our second step. Okay. And then in the API /generate poem, that is going to make another request to OpenAI. So let's draw OpenAI. Send user input and prompt, right? The prompt, what I mean by the prompt, guys, is this text right here. This is the prompt. So we basically want to send that all to OpenAI. So send user input and prompt to OpenAI API. And this is going to give back our response. This is going to send back a response. So I'm going to send it back. Send it back. And that's going to be sent back from our backend. So this is our backend back to the server. Okay. So here we kind of have three things going on. This is like the client, this is the server, and this is the OpenAI API. So pretty terrible drawing, but hopefully this helps you visualize what's going on here. I'm going to go ahead and clear up some tabs. All right, let's do this. So first, we're going to define our API endpoint, right? Already they've given us this pre-made one called hello, and we can check it out. So if we go to localhost 3000 /API /hello, we should see an object that looks like this right here. So I'm going to enter. See, we get this object, right? This is what is sent back. Okay, pretty simple. And what also to note is that this is handling a get request, right? This is just fetching data. But in this case, we don't want to get requests. We want a post request because we're actually sending data, right? Remember, guys, post is for sending data like forms. Get is just like for loading data. So we actually want to create a post request. And how we can do that is, so we just got to create a new file in the API folder called generate -poem, right? Because then we can access it at localhost 3000 /API /generate -poem. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy some of this boilerplate code. And I think we can say, I think it's rec.method for a post request. Let's Google and make sure I am not lying to you guys. So post method, Next.js. Yes, rec.method is look. So if we put this if statement, basically it'll only handle post requests. So that's what we want. So I'm going to clear this code really quick. Make this a little bigger. Get rid of this. So let's go ahead and say if rec.method equals or not equal, or sorry, we want it to be equal to post. But well, in this case, in this example, they are saying, hey, if it's not equal to post, send them an error. So I guess that's fine too. So if rec.method is not post, rest.status 405. We haven't talked about all the error codes yet, guys, but 405, 404, 401, those are all like error codes. So this is going to be basically saying there's an error. Send, we're going to just send a message saying only post requests are allowed. All right, and then we can just return after this to end it. And that means all the code past this. This means that if they did make a post request, then we can do stuff. Okay. Okay. So if they do make a post request, basically, we're going to accept some input. And let's pretend the input is called input. And where it's going to be available is on rec.body. So when you're, guys, this is when you guys are doing a post request, this is going to be very common. Everything that is being sent from the front end is going to be in rec.body, or like all the data. And so let's pretend we have a input, like the user input is an input. We can just grab that like this. So we have the user input. And then basically what we want to do is we want to, we want to take this input, add it to this prompt, right? We basically want to stick the input right here, like replace Siamese cats with whatever they put. And then everything we get back after poem, this is what we want to send back, right? All this green text. So how do we do that? Well, you know, we could write our own API request to OpenAI. I have done that, or I do that to this day still. But OpenAI also provides us a library, right? Libraries are nice because we don't have to write the code ourselves. So what we can do is just look up OpenAI npm, and then we can get the OpenAI npm package. Yeah, like this. OpenAI Node.js library. So all we need to do is just run npm install OpenAI. And then we have to set up some configuration. But then, as you can see, y'all, we can just say here, we can just call OpenAI.createCompletion, and then we do stuff. So let's go ahead and install this package. I'm going to rush through this part because we are running out of time. So yarn add OpenAI. Oops, I think that worked. Okay, we added OpenAI. Let that load. While that's loading, guys, you have to make sure you have an OpenAI API key. So if you click on your OpenAI account and you go to View API Keys, you can create and manage your keys there. I've already created one ahead of the session because it's one I plan on destroying right after this recording goes out because I don't want you guys to rob me. Please don't rob me. Yeah, so this is my OpenAI API key, but it's not going to work after I end this recording because I am going to delete it. Because I don't want to lose all my money. All right, so I'm going to copy this OpenAI API key. And so the right way to load API keys, because like this you do not want to save in your code, right? I do not want to just paste this in here and let anybody who has access to my code look at it. The right way to load keys like this, like secrets and stuff, is to create an env file. So if we open up our folder again, like our project folder, what we can do is create a new file here called .env, like this, and this is where we can save secrets. So we can say like OpenAI key _ key equals, paste the key I just grabbed, and save it. And in our code, we should be able to access this by doing process.env.openai key, and that will give us this value. So it's a way for us to access secrets without exposing them in our code. So highly recommend doing that. So okay, so I got that, and then I installed the OpenAI library, which is cool. So let's see what we have to do here. So we have to, I'm going to copy some of this boilerplate code, and I'm going to paste it up here at the top. Okay, so yeah, so process.env.openai. I think ours is called OpenAI key, like this. And remember, this is going to be the variable that we defined. Let me make sure that the naming is the same. Yeah, OpenAI-key. So mine's called OpenAI key, so I changed it to that. Okay, so we're going to use that to create a new connection to OpenAI. That's cool. This we can just leave outside of our function, and then everything else I'm going to grab and paste inside here. So notice that there's an error, right? It's saying, hey, you can't use a wait here. And guys, I know we haven't talked about a wait fully and promises yet. We'll get there when we get to the back end. But for now, basically, we're going to use a wait to make sure that things happen in a specific order, right? When we get the user input, we want to then send that to OpenAI, wait for the response to get back, and then send the data we get back to the client. So in order to use a wait here, we have to declare this as an async function. So all we need to do is just say export default async function. And as you can see, the error is gone. It's happy that we're saying, it lets us use a wait, basically. Okay, so right now, what this code is doing is it's just going to make an API request to OpenAI that just sends the prompt hello world. So this is definitely not the prompt that we have, right, guys? Like, this is just a test prompt. But this is how I think I recommend you guys building apps like this, like piecewise. You don't write all the code once and then test it. You just do it piecewise. So first, let's make sure that we can make a request, a post request to generate poem. And if all goes well, we should see a response in our console. So let's save this. So we're not doing anything with input yet, but we will soon. Let's go ahead and open up, oopsies. Let's go back to our index.js. And then I'm gonna go ahead and set up the API request. So we basically need to have it so that when the form is submitted, so when this button is clicked or the user clicks enter, we want to make a post request. So let's do that. So what we can do is, I like to define the functions. This is kind of a new thing I've been doing. I've been defining the functions under here to keep them out of the way, but you can also define them above the return. It actually doesn't really matter here. So I like it under return because it keeps it out of the way, because usually up here you have like state and stuff like that. Actually, speaking of which, we do need state. But I started to define functions down here. So maybe we could do like async, because we're going to use async functions here. Async function, maybe generate poem, like this. And for now, what we want to do is we're going to say const response equals await fetch. Right? You guys remember we used fetch before. This time we're using it with await. So we're going to fetch to slash API slash, what is it, guys? Slash API slash generate dash poem, right? That we want to match the file name. So slash API slash generate dash poem, okay? Let's leave it like that. And we're gonna make a post request. So if we just leave it like this, by default, fetch does a get request. And that's not what we want, right? Because if we make a get request, remember, this is gonna run and it's gonna send an error. So we actually want a post request. So how to change this to a post request is you could put a comma here and open up an object. And then in the object, you can put in some parameters. So one of the parameters is method, and we can set that equal to post. I think it can be also lowercase, but we'll just do capital case, method post. And then I think we need to say like response, let's look at fetch post request, because I think we also need to say we want application JSON, post, yes, example post request, method post, Okay, headers, content tape, application JSON. Yeah, that's probably what we want, so I'm gonna copy that. This is just if we want to get back JSON data, which I know we want, because we're gonna get back a big object, so I'm gonna leave that in. And then I'm gonna also pass in a body. So the body, guys, this object is gonna be what is in rec.body, right? So this rec.body is gonna be equal to this object. So just keep a note on that. We do have to turn this into JSON, so I get to do JSON stringify. I know we haven't talked about this function yet, but JSON stringify basically takes an object and it turns it into a string of JSON. Just something you have to do when you're making post requests. So JSON stringify, and then we're gonna say input. And then for now, we don't have any state set up, so we are not actually working with the user's input. Let's just fake our own input and just say like, I don't know, testing. Okay, so almost all is good. Let's wire this up, right? This is faded, which means it's not being used. So to use it, we got to say on the form, on submit. So when the form is submitted, we got to take the event object, because remember, guys, forms by default, if you submit them, the page refreshes, right? That's not something we want if we're building an app that's past like 2000, year 2000. So we're going to prevent the default behavior always. And then we're going to call the function we just wrote. So generate poem. So this is going to call our function, which should make a post request to our API route right here. So it's going to call this function. It's going to run it. It's going to run the OpenAI code, and it's going to console log the text. Just to also make sure, we also want to make sure we're getting the right input. So let's also console log the input. So we should see two console logs, right? We should see the console log of our input, which currently says testing, and we should also see the data from Open, just like random text from OpenAI. Okay, that might have been a lot. Hopefully, it wasn't too fast, but let's go ahead and test this now, and let's see how far we get. So I'm gonna run yarn dev, spin up our server. Okay. Da, da, da. So we have, I'm gonna go back to our homepage. Okay. So right now, you know, the text I put in here doesn't matter. I haven't wired it up yet, but I'm gonna click submit and we should see console log show up here in the terminal down here. So let's click this. So testing, okay, so we are getting the right, so this console log is working, where is it? So this console log is working, right? We're seeing the word testing, which is what we expect. And then we see this weird stuff. So this is from OpenAI. This is what's coming back from the OpenAI completion. So that is working, right? We now know that our front end, so this is our front end, is now talking to our back end correctly, right? We just clicked something on the front end, and now in the back end we're getting results. So this is great, right? This is the first test I want you guys to do when you guys are building this on your own, because this is how you know the front end and the back end are talking. So back to this diagram right here, guys. We've successfully done this first step. We've gotten this part to kind of work. We haven't gotten the input typing yet, but we'll add that right now. So now we want to have it so that instead of sending just the word testing, we want to send whatever the user types. And not only that, let's also replace this prompt, the fake prompt that we added, with the prompt that we've written for this poem generator. So let's do that. First, let's handle the input. Remember, guys, whenever you're handling input, we need to use state. We need to use React state. So I'm going to say, I'm going to create a new state variable up at the top of the component. So const, square brackets, I'm going to say user input, and then set user input equals use state. Oops, spelled that wrong. Use state string. So it's going to be empty string. And then I'm also going to create a state variable for the output as well. I'm going to say output, set output. And this is also going to be a string. So this second state variable is going to be for the poem that gets sent back. We're not going to do anything with this yet, but I'm just creating it right now just while we're up here. And now I need to wire this up. So I need to connect our state value to the input. So I'm going to say value equals user input. And I'm going to say onChange equals e arrow function. And I think we could just say set user input as equal to e.target.value. This is stuff that like you kind of memorize at a certain point when you're doing this stuff. But yeah, typically when you have an input, you just do value and then onChange like this. Okay, so now that we have our user input and that's wired up, all we need to do is replace this testing, this hard-coded text, with user input. So now we're going to be sending our user's actual input to the backend. So that's good. And now let's do the second part. So we're going to replace this prompt with our own prompt. So we don't need this because, right, this is part of our output. So that's not actually going to be there. We're going to copy all this text and paste it in this prompt. And one other thing to note, guys, is that remember, this text has line breaks in it, right? There's like, there's breaks of lines here, and that's actually important. That's another thing to know about GPT-3, like line breaks matter a lot. So instead of just using like a double quote string like this, I'm actually going to use a multi-line string, and we can do that with backtext. So backtext lets us put a string on multiple lines, which just makes it like worlds easier when dealing with these prompts. So I'm just going to move this back 1 or 2. And as you can see, guys, like we still have our line breaks, right? We say you are a famous poet, blah, 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 blah. We have a line break, subject, Siamese cats, line break, poem. Okay, one other good thing about using these multi-line strings is that we can replace strings with variables. Remember, we want to basically take the user's input and replace Siamese cats with it. So we can just, and we have the variable, right? Because input is going to be whatever the user has typed into here, right? That's basically what is here in input. So we can basically just remove the Siamese cats, do $, brackets, and then this will let us add variables. So this will drop in whatever the user types in as the subject matter and put it into the string. Okay, and then we're going to send all this data to GPT-3. and then we're gonna console log what it gives us back. So let's test this, guys. Let's see if this all works. The app, the text isn't gonna show up on the page yet because we're only console logging it. We're not doing anything with it yet, but let's see how this works. So let's save this. Let's go back to our app. I'm gonna let's type in something different. Feel free to say in the chat if you have any poems you want me to generate, but I'm just gonna say, let's do a poem on Next.js, right? I'm gonna say Next.js. I'm gonna click enter, okay? So you got our console log, oopsies, I clicked away. Okay, so here, there's a new way to build your app. Next.js is the API resolved without sending a response to, oh, wait, I forgot to end the, okay, so there's an issue. It actually did work, but the problem is I didn't, oopsies, what's going on? I didn't resolve the response, so it's kind of, it's a little angry at me, but that's okay. We do get some response back. It just kind of got cut off. But this will be fixed once we actually send back the data. So let's actually just send back the text we get. So remember up here, they have like rest.status.send. We need to do the same thing here. If you don't put this rest.status.send or like the rest.send, then you're gonna get errors like this. Like you're gonna get, hey, like the API resolved, it's not sending a response. It's basically expecting a response, right? It's basically saying, hey, you made a request to generate poem, but like you didn't send anything back. So what gives? That's basically what it's saying. So to fix that, we just gotta say rest.status. We can say 201, which is like a successful post request. .send. We're gonna send back an object that says like, I don't know, we can just say poem is equal to completion.data.choices.text. So I'm just copy this, I'm gonna paste that here. And we're gonna get, so this means on the client, we're gonna get back an object with a poem key, and that poem should have our text. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this console log because we know it's working now. Save it. And I'm gonna go ahead and refresh our app, and let's try that again. So I'm gonna create a poem on, I don't know, I'm just gonna create it on Twitch TV or something. So Twitch, click submit. Okay, so it's kind of short. Our poem is kind of like cut off. We might have to submit some details to make the output longer. So let's go to the OpenAI library documentation. There's like prompt. There's like, I think we want output length or something. Like, I think what was the parameter called? Maximum length, maybe? Max tokens. That was what we want. Okay, so max tokens, what does it default to? I don't know what it defaults to, but basically we want to send back like a larger amount of text. Let's just send like, I don't know. Let's just say like 400 tokens for now. Like it's kind of arbitrary amount, but let's see if this makes a difference. We basically want to get more text back. So let's save this. Let's try generating another poem on Twitch, submit. Okay, there we go. So now we're getting longer text, right? When I was younger, I used to Twitch. I couldn't help it no matter how much I tried. So this is not rhyme, but you know, whatever. Like we're not. We could spend more time like optimizing the poem, but this works for now. Maybe it's just not good at creating a poem twitching. Okay, cool. So we're getting our response back. We're getting our poem back now, and now to finish this up, we just gotta replace this fake content with the real poem. Also, we probably want to clear this input box after they submit. So when we get the response back, this is just going to be a response object. To actually get the data, we want to do response.json. That's going to give us the actual object here. That's going to give us this. Like response itself contains a bunch of other metadata, but to actually get this data, we need to use response.json. So we can say const data equals response.json, and we should await it as well. Await. And now we're just going to console.log data like this. So this will now log our output on the front end. It's not going to log it here on our back end, right? Remember, guys, this is our front end. So all the console logs on the front end are going to show up in the browser console, not the server console. All right, let's try this again. Let's try a different poem. Let's say, like, I don't know, hydrangeas. Probably should have picked a word else easier to spell, but I'm going to say hydrangeas. Press enter. And I'm going to open my console here in the browser. Console. Okay, we got our object. Yep, we got our data. Okay, it said hues of pink and blue brighten up the room with their beauty and full. It's kind of hard to read here, but it looks like a poem, so that's good. We're getting back our text there. So now we can just do data.poem, and that's going to be our text. So that means all we got to do is set that to be this state variable, right? We can basically replace all of this text with output. So output the state variable. And all we need to do to wire it all up is to take the data, if data.poem, or if there's a poem key in data, we want to basically set output as data.poem. Okay, cool. And last step is, if it's also successful, we also want to wipe the input, right? We want to delete this text after they submit it. So we want to set user input to be empty string. Okay, let's try this again. Let's see if this all works. I'm gonna go ahead and close this, and let's do the moment of truth. So I'm gonna say, what should we write a poem about? I'm gonna say dachshunds. That's kind of hard to rhyme, right? Is that how you spell dachshunds? I feel like I should know this. Yo, what's going on with my internet?
It's kind of slow.
Dude, I guess it is my internet. Oh, I'm sorry, NPM. I was blaming NPM, but it was actually my internet. I apologize. Okay, so I did spell it wrong. I go so wrong. Okay, so ignore that, guys. I'm not a spelling teacher, so please don't blame me for the spelling. Okay, so this is how you spell dachshund. I'm gonna paste it here. Dachshund, dachshunds, plural. Click submit. Drum roll, drum roll. Yay, we get our poem. These little wiener dogs, so long and so low to the ground, are not just cute as could be, but also full of personality. Gap toothed and playful, always up for a game. Dachshunds bring joy to our lives with their unique charms. Okay, that doesn't rhyme that well, but it's a poem, right? It's a poem. It's getting there. As you can see, there's kind of like some issues with the line breaking here, which we probably don't have time to deal with today. But I guess one easy way to fix this is, right now the output is just being rendered, like the entire string is just being rendered here. If we do want to maintain the line breaks that come with the output, what we can do is just like basically put the text directly in the HTML. And this is kind of dangerous. And it's literally it's a key that's literally called dangerously set inner HTML. Like I'm not even joking to you. It's like literally called dangerously set inner HTML equals, if we put the output in here, let's see what happens. So we're gonna save that. Refresh our page. Oh wait, something's wrong. Oh wait, oops. I have to set it as like underscore HTML, or underscore HTML is equal to output. There we go. Sorry, save that. Whoa, what's going on? I forgot a bracket, I think. Yeah, I had to add another set of brackets. Okay, so dangerously set inner HTML. We set it to an object that has this underscore HTML key, and then we set that to the output. Okay, let's try this again. What should we create a poem on? Let's say let's say that I'm trying to think of something. My brain's not working. Let's say skateboarding. So skateboarding, I almost spelled that wrong. Click enter. It's generating our poem. Skateboarding is a blast, especially when done with style. Okay, well, it didn't preserve our output very well. I guess I kind of screwed that up. I guess the dangerously set inner HTML didn't work, but there are other ways to like make that HTML preserve line breaks. Maybe we can do that as a final step. React preserve line breaks. Oh wait, we can just use CSS to solve it. I didn't know that. I'm stupid. We can just say white space pre-line and then it should work. So never mind. Just forget the dangerously set inner HTML. That didn't even work anyways. We can go back to creating output, and maybe we can just add the pre-line. So we could just say I think it's like white space pre-line. Yeah, this is how you do it in Tailwind, I think. Yep, white space pre-line. Save this. Let's see if this works now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's what ended up fixing it. So I guess all we need to do is just add CSS to make the new lines work. So add this white space dash pre dash line if you need the CSS to work. Skateboarding is a blast, especially when done with style. Ollies and kickflips are much fun and look so great in the line. Skateboarding is a joy. It's the perfect way to pass the time. Riding down the street with the wind in your face is an experience you can't get from just any old pastime. Yeah, it's an okay poem. It doesn't rhyme that well. Like, I'm sure if we played around with our prompt, like, if we gave it different like rhyming instructions, like use an A pattern or something, or like maybe telling it to write a haiku, you get better results than what I did here. But overall, it works, right? It's not the worst poem generator, but now we have an app that you can type in whatever you want and you get a poem, right? And I know that we did poems today, but really, guys, you can make any kind of app like this. Like, you do a movie recommender, you could do like a travel agent bot, you can do like a chat bot. Like, there's so many possibilities. If you do want ideas for GPT-3 apps, do let me know. I always have ideas for these types of apps, and I'm always down to talk about these things. But yeah. Okay, guys, so just wanted to wrap up really quick and summarize, because we did go through a lot. If you got nothing out of today, I just want you to take this away. So basically, today for the first time, we wired up our own front end to our own backend, right? This is our backend file. And in our backend, that's where we made the request to OpenAI and got back the OpenAI data. And then we sent that back to the front end right here, and we displayed it on the page. So yeah, the main focus of today is just these backend endpoints. It might be confusing, and I for one, definitely was very confused by backend endpoints back when I was in Bootcamp, like 8-9 years ago. But hopefully, now that we did this all together, and also within Next.js, hopefully you guys are starting to understand how this all comes together, right? We're getting closer to how a lot of real production apps are being made. So yeah, okay, cool. I think that's basically it. Maybe just for fun, we'll just finish off with one more poem. Maybe we'll tweak the prompt a little bit to say, let's do a haiku. I mean, I feel like you can, I feel like haikus are better, or like we might get better results. Or what about a limerick? Maybe limericks are funnier. So write a humorous, oh my God, I cannot spell. Humorous limerick. Did I spell limerick? Yeah. Why do I feel like my spelling is not right? No, that is how you spell humorous. Okay, I'm stupid. Okay, given a subject matter, write a humorous limerick. So I'm going to save that. And now, instead of it's a poem generator, technically this is now a limerick generator. So let's try typing in a subject matter. I have a donut in front of me, so I'm going to say donuts. Dot nuts. God, I cannot spell. All right, submit. There once was a man from Boston who really loved his donuts. He ate them for breakfast, and he ate them for lunch, and he ate them for dinner, and he ate them for snack, and he always ate them with gusto, and he never got sick of them. What kind of limerick is this? This is terrible. He never got sick of them. He always had a smile on his face. Oh, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate that. Oh, it's you. What's going on? Appreciate it, man. Okay, and yeah, so this is not a great limerick, but it's kind of funny. One day he ate too many, and he got a stomach ache, and he had to lie down, and he couldn't eat anymore. He was really sad. What? This is not a limerick at all, dude. What are you talking about? All right, I'm getting a little sidetracked here, but the point is you can play around with it. Maybe we'll do haiku instead of limerick. We're jumping all over. All right, write a humorous haiku. What should we do a haiku on? Let's say, I don't know. Maybe we do a haiku on what's another funny subject matter? Let's say it's on, I don't know, iPad kids. I don't know why that came into my head, but let's do a haiku on iPad kids. So submit. iPads for kids. Is this the new normal? They'll be addicted soon. All right, that's kind of funny. And I guess it seems to do a little better with the haiku, but point is play around with the prompts and you can get very different results is what I'm trying to take away here. Cool. All right, guys, that's basically it for today's session. I know we went a little bit over again, but there was a lot more to cover today. So hopefully you guys got more out of this session and saw this is how we're putting together the front end and the back end. Now it's starting to all come together, right? This is our our first venture into the scary world backend. And as you can see, guys, with Next.js, it's not that scary, right? They make it, it is different, it is weird, but with this handy API folder, all you need to do to create new endpoints is just create a file in here, write some stuff in it, and then you can use this fetch. You can use the fetch function right here to communicate with from your front end to your back end. All right, so looking ahead, I want you guys to definitely enjoy the holiday break. I know a lot of you guys are probably already on break, so thank you for the guys who took some time on your break to join us here. And when we return in 2023, we're going to be really going hard on the backend side, a lot harder. And we're going to be diving into Node.js Express, finally going to talk about promises and all that. We're also going to be talking about how to add your own database into your app. We're going to talk about TypeScript, something that I know you guys are probably sick of me talking about, but we're going to get to TypeScript. And then we're going to talk about a little bit more career stuff. And this is also going to start wrapping up the bootcamp. Like we're going to talk about like capstone projects. Like that's not going to be in the portion of bootcamp, but we are going to talk a little bit about that and what that looks like. And then if we have time, we'll also talk about career prep as well. For those of you that are looking to get into the industry, we'll talk about like secret tips, interview strategies, like how to practice for interviews, how to get that job you want, all that good stuff. So that's going to be all covered very separately. Finally, just as some homework, this is kind of optional, honestly, guys, because I know it's break. I don't expect people to be working all the time. You guys should take some time off and hang out with your families. But if you do have some time and you do want to brush up on your Next.js, Next.js is tutorial. Like on their website, they have a tutorial. It is very good, very well written, very well explained. I highly recommend it. It's kind of like the Svelte one, but shorter. So do check that out if you have time. And if you do want to just review and you haven't checked out the Playground app yet, go ahead and go to the beta.onplayground.com, and that's where you can get access to the ongoing Playground course where you can practice HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all that good stuff. I know it says that there should be a new course dropping soon, but we're a little behind on schedule. We haven't rolled one out yet, so might have to reset that timer. But yeah, that's really it. I guess in addition to this homework, if you want to play around and make your own AI app, which I highly recommend because it's really fun, and once you guys start to get comfortable with this pattern, you can just pump out these apps like nobody's business. Do rewatch this recording and see if you can like go and build your own app here. I'll share the solution code in the Discord for those of you that like to see the solution. It might not be today, but just very soon you will see the solution on Discord. And that's how you can kind of like cross-check and make sure you're following along well. But besides that, that's basically it. We're probably going to cut Q&A a little short today because I did go over. But hopefully that was not too bad. I know, learning any kind of really new technology is always a scary thing. But I like Next.js just because it's kind of in the middle of Node and React, right? It's kind of in between the front end and the back end. So hopefully all of this stuff I've been talking about with API routing and all that stuff, it's all starting to come together. So cool. I'll go ahead and take some questions now if there are any. And if not, we can go ahead and call it a day. And I will, I guess I'll see you guys in the new year if there's no more questions. While that's happening, I gotta push up my code. Let me go ahead and see if this is working. Git add. It's probably not gonna let me push up my code because I have to first commit. Yeah, see you next year for sure. Yeah, hopefully you guys had a good session today. Hopefully it wasn't too crazy. Do let me know if you feel like you want, as a predicted, it didn't work. Do let me know if you guys would want like more targeted sessions or like, I think in the new year, there's also been talk about like doing more office hours or stuff like that. Cause I know people who are not in this time zone or people who have work during this time, it's not that convenient for them. So we are trying to think of better solutions for them in the future. So just as always, leave us feedback in Discord, or if you feel more comfortable like DMing it to me privately, we're totally cool with that as well. But yeah, I know today was a little bit fast, but hopefully once you guys kind of create your own like AI apps like this, you'll see that this stuff really isn't that bad, right? It's just like, it's definitely a lot of new terminology, a lot of weird patterns, but once you get comfortable with it, like you can make some pretty cool apps. Like all you need to do to convert this app to like a travel like agent is basically just change the prompt, right? You just need to change the prompt here from you are a famous poet to like you are a travel agent, and then do whatever you want there. Actually, let's do that now while we have some time. So let's turn our poem app into a travel agent app just for fun. Let me hide this. So instead of saying you are a famous poet, you are a helpful travel agent. And we can give them some instructions. So given a destination, come up with let's say a 7-day itinerary, like a 7-day itinerary. Yeah. Okay. All right, so that's it. Save that. Instead of poem as the output, I'm going to say itinerary. Save that, and then I should probably change this text to be. I'm just going to change some of the text here. So instead of subject matter, this is like a destination, and then instead of poem generator, we're doing travel agent AI or something. Yeah. Save that. Oops, my server's not running, so I need to run my server again. Okay, so I'm gonna run that to refresh our app. All right, travel agent AI. So I'm gonna type in a destination here. We're going to Kyoto in a few months, so I'm gonna create a itinerary for Kyoto. So Kyoto, Japan. I'm gonna click submit. Let's see what it gives us. Hopefully it works. Oh, that's long. Day 1, after arriving in Kyoto, take some time to relax, explore a hotel, walk through Gion, then go to Fushimi Inari, Ginkakuji, Philosopher's Walk, and then Kiyomizu-dera, Rashiyama, Nara. Actually, this is a really good itinerary. This is pretty great for someone who's like new to Kyoto. I'm actually impressed. On your final day, visit the monkey park, see these playful creatures up close. Okay, pretty cool, right? So as you can see, with this AI pattern of like making apps on top of GPT-3, it's all about the prompts, right? You can just change the prompt to something you want, and then take the same format and run with it. So now our poem generator is a travel agent. So I'm actually just gonna leave it as a travel agent, just for fun. Well, I have to rename this from generate the poem to generate travel itinerary, but you guys get the idea, right? All right, so probably gonna wrap up now. Thank you guys for joining. Really appreciate y'all being here. I'm trying to think of anything I might have missed before New Year. Yeah, that's basically it. Please don't steal my OpenAI key. I'm going to reset it because I don't want to lose all my money. But yeah, you guys should definitely follow along, create your own OpenAI key, because I'm telling you guys, like, once you guys get used to building apps with GPT-3, there's no going back. It really like exponentially increases the amount of projects you can build, and everyone is talking about AI right now. AI is very hyped, and not a lot of people know how to build apps on top of it. So it's definitely something that's going to make your portfolio stand out amongst the thousands of bootcamp students, amongst thousands of computer science grads, if you can build apps like this. Because yeah, kind of to a layperson, someone who doesn't know AI, this looks like magic, right? It looks like I somehow created an AI that created this travel itinerary, but I didn't, right? I literally only wrote this prompt to tell GPT-3 to do it. So yeah, pretty cool. Anywho, I think that's basically it. Once again, the solution is going to be in Discord fairly soon. I might leave it as this travel agent, but who knows? I might change it back. And yeah, that's basically it. Hopefully you guys don't have any other questions. But yeah, if that's it, I'm going to be peacing out now. And yeah, keep an eye out for this recording on YouTube as well. All right, guys, it's been a really great year. I'm really happy to get to know you guys. I'm really glad you guys stuck around this long and hung around with me. It's been a crazy journey for these the past 2-3 months, and hopefully you guys have gotten something out of it. Like that's all I got to say. I mean, we're not even done with the whole boot camp, but hopefully you guys have, if nothing else, I want you guys have more confidence, right? Seeing that, hey, I can go into coding, I can know nothing about like HTML, CSS, and now you're building AI apps, right? That's a pretty crazy journey in just a few months. So you should definitely pat yourself on the back and remind yourself that like just look back on where where you guys started, and there's definitely progress there. So that's really exciting. All right, guys, thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you as always for tuning in, and for anybody who's watching recording. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, I guess I will see you guys in the new year. Thank you all. Really appreciate it. All right, take care, everyone. Have a happy holidays and have a great new year. I will see you guys on the 3rd, January 3rd. Yes, January 3rd, where we'll probably do a review session just to recap everything. And yeah, everyone stay safe. Hopefully you have a good time with your family and friends. Yeah, see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.